I'm going to say something controversial that might get me some hate, but I gotta say it. Wyatt 6, not looking forward to it. I think it's a bad idea. I loved Bray Wyatt. All the respect in the world to Bray Wyatt. He was a mad genius, but I'm not going to sit here and say sometimes the Bray Wyatt characters went a little too far. Remember when Bray Wyatt was supposed to be Sister Abigail and fight Finn Balor? That match thankfully never happened, but that would have been an instance of going too far. Again, Bray Wyatt, great. The Wyatt family. I think the Wyatt family was treated wrong and bad. I really feel they should have had a really long run at the top. The Wyatt family was so good. Here's the difference between the Wyatt family and the Wyatt 6. The Wyatt family could be real. We all know that there's no way that's happening, but it could happen. They were more creepy than spooky. They didn't go so far into the spooky that it was like, no way. You know, Bray Wyatt wasn't shooting lasers out of his hands, you know? He could get hurt even, okay? You could punch Bray Wyatt and he would feel pain. There was a part of Bray Wyatt that was so captivating, so creepy. Could you imagine? It was like, what's that movie? Deliverance, you know, with the fiddle. You know, you did not want to be left in a room with Luke Harper or Eric Rowan because you were afraid of what they were going to do to you, and not just beat you up, but other scary things that you don't want people to do to you. Those guys seemed like they would. They were scary because of their creepiness. That was a realistic scary, a realistic creepiness. But Bray Wyatt also had another character, and it was the Fiend. The Fiend, in my opinion, went too far. Now, I liked the Fiend in the beginning, but once he started wrestling, I started to see there was a problem. There was potential, but there was a problem. So Bray Wyatt, he left for a while, he came back, and he started the Firefly Funhouse. I really enjoyed the Firefly Funhouse. Unrealistic, you might be like, well, there's no way that's reality. Yes, there is no way that's reality. However, you could pawn it off on a guy who is out of touch with reality, right? He's so out of touch with reality that he created this. And while he may think those puppets are real, we know they're not. And there's somebody, you know, doing the puppets and stuff, but Bray Wyatt, for some reason, he thinks it's real. Okay, so you could still, within the box of reality, have Bray Wyatt believing everything he sees. And you could even have the Fiend. You could even have Bray Wyatt be the Fiend, in that the Fiend is just part of his multi-personality disorder. Again, totally okay. But once the Fiend started getting really into it, that's when things started going off the rails for me. The Fiend, he wouldn't sell nothing, right? He couldn't get hurt. 20 curb stomps. And I'm not even sure if that's an exaggeration. That he would just get up. I'm sorry, but that curb stomp is still a move used by Seth Rollins, and it was almost completely ruined by the Fiend. And Seth Rollins was completely ruined by the Fiend even. It's just not a good look. It wasn't. It wasn't totally. He came out of that just looking absolutely weak and nerfed. And anybody who came in contact with the Fiend just couldn't do nothing. And where's the fun in that? Bray Wyatt could get hurt when he was the leader of a cult, but the Fiend, he was just this monster. He couldn't be touched. And then when he did finally get beat, it completely destroyed the aura of him. So it was like, where's the upside? We have a bad guy who can never be beat, but if he is beat, then he's completely destroyed. Now, you could say it's because Goldberg was the one that defeated him, and there's an argument to be made there. Let's just put him against the Bloodline. How is the Fiend and the Bloodline going to have an actual feud? Roman is he was like a mafia leader, right? But he was in reality, pure reality. What about The Rock? Even though The Rock was the Bloodline, but let's see The Rock comes on. You think The Rock is going to be able to have a serious promo with the Fiend? No, he's going to make the guy look ridiculous by calling everything out that we fans actually know but didn't want to say. What about The Undertaker? The Undertaker was kind of an exception and the greatest gimmick of all time when it's all said and done. But at the end of the day, Undertaker changed. Basically, he went from the Fiend into Bray Wyatt. Undertaker in the beginning couldn't get hurt. There was no selling, no nothing. And he wasn't really that interesting. He was more of an attraction. Yeah, he did win the heavyweight title in his first year against Hulk Hogan, but that was just kind of to get the belt off Hogan and to put it in the Royal Rumble because of shenanigans. After that, Taker didn't really have any contact with the heavyweight title for a very long time, and he would just fight big man after big man after big man. They created the $1 million corporation, so Undertaker would just have like 100 people to go through, and that's okay. You need to have attraction people. You know, Andre the Giant was an attraction. He didn't need the title, even though he did get it for about 10 minutes. But Undertaker was an attraction for the longest time. It wasn't really until right before the Attitude Era / Attitude Era that Undertaker started getting into the actual scene. But yeah, Undertaker was just there to fight things. You could say Mankind, he was a success, but yes, he was a success, but he started off as this crazy lunatic that in theory could happen, but then he kind of morphed into, hey, he just had multiple personalities, to just Mick Foley. And Kane, definitely, okay, Kane exists also as a spooky character, but for the most part, other than the random fireball he throws out of his hand, you could say, okay, Kane's a little harder to put within reality, but since for the longest time, like, we've all kind of just known that Kane and Undertaker really are brothers, but the Undertaker went from this mystic character to a reality-based character. He might even have a replica, a dummy of the person inside the casket, a live Randy Orton looking at a dummy of a dead Randy Orton, and that scares the guy. And, you know, I could see that scaring people. Undertaker morphed into something real-based, and yeah, he would still have his druids, but you can argue that, oh, those are just hired help or whatever. Even in the 90s, Vince McMahon, after he said, you know what, we're not going to insult your intelligence anymore, wrestling is entertainment, not real. Even then, as early as then, Vince McMahon was saying something about Undertaker. In Undertaker's most spooky incarnation of himself, the Ministry of Darkness Undertaker, Vince McMahon said, I think Mark, as in Mark Calloway, the actual Undertaker, I think Mark has started to believe his gimmick. So right there, they're even saying, it's a gimmick. This is all a gimmick that Undertaker has started to believe. And because of that, now Mark has some kind of mental disease, disassociation personality, and he's putting himself within as the Undertaker. Now it makes a little more sense. And you don't see Undertaker at that point shooting down lightning bolts, even though he is putting you on a crucifix of his symbol, but that can happen. You know, that can happen. If, you know, wrestling was real. We're supposed to suspend our disbelief that wrestling is real, right? But there comes a point, if you shove that fakeness too far down our throats, in our face, that we're like, okay, I can't buy this anymore. And it applies for everything. You know, Orange Cassidy just took a pile driver on, like, steel steps, I believe. I was listening to Busted Open, so I didn't actually see it, but I'm like, you took a pile driver and you no-sold that? Totally takes you out of the match. And you just took 10 curb stomps and you're no-selling that? I'm sorry, but I don't actually believe that you're a demon. And it's like, ugh. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? And my fear is this, that the Wyatt 6 is going to take all of that crazy, spooky elements, the bad parts of the genius of Bray Wyatt, because everybody can have mistakes. Every genius can have mistakes or blemishes, and I believe that if they take this part of Bray Wyatt's idea, that's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. Wrestling is cool again. I don't want to be embarrassed when I try to get people watching wrestling, alright? Wyatt 6 has huge potential to be very embarrassing. When they set Bray Wyatt on fire, or when Alexa Bliss caused Bray Wyatt the match against Randy Orton at WrestleMania, it was silly. It was ridiculous, all right? And not the good kind of silly ridiculous. There's laughing with, there's laughing at, and then there's also, this is just a complete farce, a complete joke. That's what this could be. I do love the fact that we honor Bray and have a faction named after him, but it needs to be like the Wyatt family and not like the Fiend. Uncle Howdy, it's like even that name, Uncle Howdy. Is that guy going to be a champion? Is that going to be our heavyweight champion? Is that the guy, Uncle Howdy? Is he going to be the guy that dethrones Cody? Is Uncle Howdy the guy I want to show people? Yeah, this is the champion. This is my champion. I acknowledge Uncle Howdy. No, I can acknowledge Bray Wyatt, the cult leader, but I can't acknowledge Bray Wyatt as Sister Abigail. It's just, I'm really worried, really concerned. If they do it like a cult, if they do it like a cult leader, and they have Joe Gacy there already, Joe Gacy could speak, Bo Dallas could speak. I love Bo Leave. You know, the potential of the Wyatt 6 right now is Nikki Cross, who is great in Sanity as this crazy person, and yeah, she kind of broke out of that craziness, but you can always revert her back. You know, she had some traumatic experience, and now she's crazy again. You have Dexter Lumis, who is a good stalker of The Miz, and a stalker is a great, scary, yet realistic gimmick. Eric Rollins is back. He's already proved himself to be a great henchman within a creepy faction. They still have Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman is like doing nothing right now other than going around backstage saying, "Oh, good job, guys. Welcome to the team." A monster like that should not be welcome to the team. You could even kidnap him and brainwash him, because that stuff can happen, but you can't take his soul and put a different soul in him. And Alexa Bliss, I guess they need to bring her back. Alexa Bliss, I feel, was kind of a bad part of Bray Wyatt, even though behind the scenes they had a great relationship and everything. Her character became a little on the not good side of spooky. But maybe we could incorporate her back in, but let's really make it realistic and not so I'm embarrassed to show my friends. And I get it. Wrestling's every genre. You got drama, you got comedy, you need horror. No, you don't. Okay, I don't. I don't need sci-fi either. You can't tell me I need every genre. I don't need sci-fi and I don't need horror, okay? I don't. You can have suspense. Suspense is a stalker. Suspense can be a cult leader. Okay, so let's do suspense and not horror. You can have elements that cross over. Don't come at me like horror is a genre, and genres need to be in wrestling, because then let's bring back Max Moon, all right? Let's bring back Max Moon, shout out to Conan, and we can have sci-fi. Let's bring a time travelers involved, okay? We have a young Hulk Hogan come from the past. I don't want Papa Shango making the Ultimate Warrior vomit pea soup. It's just, I don't want it. I don't want it. Let's keep it away. Undertaker, he was an exception. Great job, Undertaker. You did it. You made this video harder because you succeeded where every other instance it shouldn't. I mean, could you imagine if Edge was still a vampire? No, Edge would never have worked. Edge would never have worked. I acknowledge Bray Wyatt. I really do. He was great. He was awesome. And I do acknowledge Bray Wyatt as a mad genius, a great genius, and I do acknowledge the Wyatt family as one of the best factions, and when history is done, probably one of the most underrated factions in the WWE. Right now, I'm not acknowledging the Wyatt Six. No shade on Bray. I do love the respect, but I'm really hoping that it's just based in reality. You can push the boundaries of reality, but you can't go too far. You can't go too far. And I hope you guys acknowledge the subscribe button. I hope you comment. I got a giveaway going on. The more you comment on each new video, the more you get chances to win. Once I hit 10,000 subscribers, I will give this belt away to somebody. I will verbally tell it on a video. I won't put it in the comments. In the comments is a scam. Verbally on video, that's the real deal. Please comment. Tell me what your thoughts are on my thoughts about the Wyatt Six. Are you hesitant, or are you just like, yeah, give me another QR code and let's go for this? Have a great day.